Hello guys, so we're team GoConnected. My name's Bruce.
I'm Camille.
And I'm Emily. So our problem statement for our web app is we wanted to create a web application that calculates a connectivity rating for a selected city. This is based on a project that I did when I was an intern in Boise over the summer. I was working for a consulting firm, and we were asked, Boise State was looking at putting in a baseball stadium, and they wanted to know how that would affect the connectivity in the area. Boise is interesting because they have ITD, which is the Idaho Transportation Department. They have ACHD, which is the Ada County Highway District, and then they have the city of Boise, and all of them have different goals on what they want for the traffic in that area. And so the city of Boise especially was concerned with pedestrian and bicycle traffic and connectivity. If they put in a baseball stadium, they didn't want that to be affected. So we used this manual, the FHWA manual, to measure some of that connectivity. So the principles used for our web app was based on this manual. So it takes some measures and then kind of gives them weights and then gives it a rating based on those measures. So the measures that we use for this app are elevation change, bus stops, and intersection density. So how many intersections there are on the road network per square mile. So we'll just go through some of those things, especially our geoprocessing.
So now we're going to talk about our first geoprocessing service. This is the change in elevation. So what it goes through, we loaded in a DEM file, and we're able to, well, all of our geoprocessing services, the input is the city that you're looking at. So you input a city like Provo, or basically we covered most of Utah County and Salt Lake County. So you could do Salt Lake or Bluffdale maybe. So anyway, you can go through that, and it clicks. When you choose the city, it will calculate. It will cut the DEM and then find the highest and the lowest elevation, and then just give you the change in elevation as a range.
So for the intersection density, we're doing pretty similar things just as a elevation. So we have a number of intersections around all the Utah State and Salt Lake State, and we use a clip tool to select each city boundaries, and so we there'll be number of intersections in each city boundaries, and we divide by the areas for that city, and we calculate the city densities, which in number intersections per mile square. So this map shows the geoprocessing tools we use. So this is a general.
Yeah, this is Provo with all the intersections, and then the grid code is the intersection density. So for it to be read in our application in the Tethys code, it had to be in a polygon. So we created a polygon that just had one value of the intersection density. And then finally, just the bus stops was pretty simple. It was all the bus stops in the city, and then it clips it to the city. And so this is an example in Provo.
So once we were able to get all the geoprocessing services ran, we needed to. Oh, there we go. We needed to create the connectivity rating, and so this is part of the code that we used. Some of the JavaScript code that after the geoprocessing services ran, it outputs these three numbers, like the number of bus stops, change in elevation, and the intersection density, and we're able to rate them as low, medium, or high. So in this case, this is the elevation change, and so if it had a very large elevation change, we rated that as a low connectivity score. I mean, like if you're biking or walking around, it'd be very inconvenient for you if there was a lot of hills. And so we were able to do low, medium, high for each of the three outputs. And then on the right, we have, it has the weighting between, so we weighted the elevation change as 20%, intersection density as 50%, and the bus stop count as 30%. And that ends up giving you the ultimate rating, low, medium, or high for the connectivity of the entire city.
We will show you a demo for our web app.
Okay, so this is just our home page. It just talks about how to work this. So you just go to the map page. Takes a second to load. We have a drop-down list with all the cities that are within our DEM. So like do Provo. And submit, and it runs, and it just takes a minute because it's running 3 geoprocessing services. And the way it runs all 3 of them. Not, it's simultaneous, but it's not like the code is running simultaneously. It just jumps back and forth between all 3 of them, and then it spits out whatever input comes first. So typically bus stops is first because that's the easiest, and then elevation change is last because that's the most difficult one. So it selects all of the bus stops and the city boundaries. And then this button, show me the money, clicks and shows a results page, and it gives the total connectivity score and then the score for each of those. And then finally, the export to PDF button sends it to a PDF. And this was done using an HTML to Canvas. It's like a plugin or an extra package that you have to download. So this is the PDF with the results page. It essentially takes a screenshot of this modal and then it puts it into a PDF.
Okay, so we're gonna go over some of the challenges we ran into. It was tricky getting all geoprocessing services to work at the same time. There was one night where we overwhelmed the server and it shut down on us for like a whole day. That was entertaining. So eventually they all started working all at the same time, which is great. But that was definitely one of the challenges we ran into. The export to PDF button was also a challenge. It was something we had to Google a lot about, especially the HTML to Canvas that Emily mentioned. So in order for that export button to work, we had to load in a separate JavaScript file that was created by another user so that it would work. And so we had to load that into our it's in our GitHub, right?
Yeah, so Riley helped us work out some of the bugs with that, and it ended up being easier to just do a link to a file that was just on the internet. I don't remember, there was like a connecting network type thing that it connects to. So we downloaded a couple of those. There's like an HTML to Canvas and then the JS PDF. And I think there was a couple extras that you had to have that were just additional plugins that make it work.
So there's one more challenge is how to make our map on the result page. So as that function we haven't figured out yet, but it would be cool if we can show the map and the results both on the result page. Thank you.